Welcome to the First Customers Podcast. Today we have Christoffer Sigshøj with us, a mechanical engineer and co-founder of KiteX, a company based out of Denmark. They build the world's lightest wind turbines and sell them directly to consumers. They launched a successful Kickstarter campaign in 2021 and have started delivering their products as of this past summer. Christoffer, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paris. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about the company, and then we can get into who your target customer is and how you got those very first sales.
Yeah, sure. So originally at KiteX, we built flying wind turbines. That's where the kite comes in from it. But
Okay.
we sort of saw that it was pretty difficult, pretty difficult project to pull off. So we sort of transitioned a little bit, and then we took our learnings from the flying wind turbines, and then we made the world's lightest wind turbines, where we use strings or tethers, like from a kite, to support all the loads in the structure. And that's why our turbines are super lightweight compared to traditional turbines. That's what makes it possible.
How big are they? Is that looks like a drone in the background that I'm seeing there? What can you give us a kind of a word picture?
Yeah, we have played a lot around with drones and stuff like this. So the wind turbine currently consists of 2-meter sections that is 6 feet. And we have 2 of those for the tower, and the blades are also 6 feet long. So in total, we have around 18 feet in length. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, from where it stands on the ground, and it's like it's 12 kilos. And I'm Danish, so I'm working. My head works in metric. So how many pounds is that? That's 25 pounds, something like that.
Okay, and I'm going to share my screen really quick for those who are watching on YouTube or some other platform here, so we can get a visual of the website and an example. This is you guys, right?
Yeah, this is us.
Okay, so we've got relatively small looking little wind turbine. How tall is it, did you say?
So the tower is 12 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah. And the blades, they're 6 feet long. So it's cool. I mean, it's taller than a car, but you can it's also taller than a person, but it's only like 2 persons on top of each other, right? A little more than that.
All right, tall as a 1-story house, kind of.
Yeah, something like that, exactly.
Okay. So how much can something that size power?
So this size can power a small house. So we build our turbines. They're built for camping or having an RV or using your tiny house.
Okay. So they're portable as well.
And they're super portable. I mean, they're only this 24 pounds, and they pack down in a long bag, like a ski bag, just a little bit longer, right? So you can pack everything down, put it on the roof of your RV, and go on your adventure, and have power when the sun is not out with your solar, or when the wind is blowing. Then you can have power, or even at night. Solar panels are no good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you said it can power a house?
It can. I mean, it depends on how much electricity you use. So we have built our structure around low wind speeds, and in Denmark the wind speed is the average wind speed is 5 meters per second. I think that's around 12 miles per hour. And this is where we make the most power, actually, and then we sort of ramp the power a little bit down after that point. And in 24 hours, we can make 4 kilowatt hours. Now I'm just slinging around numbers. I hope you can follow along. But that's the average consumption for a Danish person. I'm not really familiar with the US. I think the US citizens use a little bit more power.
It's probably like one
turbine can power for a person. But if you are in your RV, then you don't use as much power as you do in your house. Of course, it's a smaller space.
Right.
So for an RV, it's perfect.
Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's a really neat product. And how long did it take to go from kind of idea to going through Kickstarter and then launching that first product?
It took I would say it took a year to do the prototyping and to see if this was a feasible idea. We sat down at one point, and then we sort of brainstormed on, can we actually make, is this even viable? We did some engineering calculations and and these napkin calculations to see if it was even possible to make something. And then we also sketched out who would our customers be for this product, and what is this market that we can target initially, right? And that was where we sort of found that it could be campers, RV people, tiny houses, where you don't consume massive amounts of energy, and also where you're often off grid and where you're not grid connected, right? So that's really the niche market that we are targeting with this product. And we set out in as actually COVID hit back in 2020, March 2020. We set out to make a prototype, and then a year later we were ready for a Kickstarter campaign. We had an initial prototype of it, and then we were ready to launch the Kickstarter. There was a lot of work going into the Kickstarter, though. Yeah.
Okay, how long does it take to get the Kickstarter campaign up and running? Because I know that a lot of people use a lot of video and kind of a lot of design materials.
Yeah. It takes. I mean, the preparation work for launching a successful Kickstarter is key. You need to do a lot of work beforehand, and we spent 6 months actually doing all the prep work. We could pretty quickly realize a prototype of the turbine, also because we have been working with similar technology before, and that's what we are good at. And then we sort of set out to do all this media stuff. You have the prototype that's going to make some cool pictures, get some drone shots. We hired a bureau in to make the Kickstarter video, super important thing. And then we did a bunch of adverts. We were launching on Product Hunt. Sort of all this preparational work before we really launch on Kickstarter, before you're ready to launch. Yeah. I think some of the things that we did was gathering emails. We did some competitions where you could win a power station. We can power power stations. Have you seen those portable power stations that you bring along in your truck or in your camper van? Yeah. We are at the moment the only wind power company who can, or the only company with a wind power product who can charge these units. So I think that's pretty cool.
Because they're kind of like battery packs.
Yeah, the battery packs with an inverter in it, and then you got the normal AC outlet that from your wall, and you also got a USB charging, fast charging ports in it and stuff like that. It's super convenient for people to use.
Yeah, that's a killer feature. Okay.
Yeah, so we can charge those. So we did a few competition campaigns on our Facebook, a little bit of targeted ads there. Back in those days, it was super easy to just go into Facebook and target people who were interested in camper vans and outdoor living and off-grid living and all these sorts of boondocking and what else the terms are, right? If they're in these groups, then you could target them. So we would display ads and say, here's a competition. If you sign up with the email, you have a chance to win one of these power stations from us. We gathered some emails there and some interest. And then we also hired a bureau to help with the Kickstarter to sort of set everything up and sort of run some of this to help.
You said a bureau? Is that like an agency? What we would call an agency? Okay.
Yeah, we had an agency to sort of help us a little bit along and guide us, and also do some of this work. I'm an engineer. Andreas, the CEO, and my business partner, he's also an engineer. So it's not our natural, our specialty to do all these things. But with a little help, we could sort of manage.
Yeah. Okay, so you launched a Kickstarter campaign. You had an idea of who your target customers were: the RVers, the campers. Maybe people who lived off grid. Or even, I guess it's kind of like just a survival backup power source as well, so that you can charge those batteries. That's really cool.
The whole prepper community is kind of interesting for us as well.
Okay. So, and you launched ads related to those things. Once the Kickstarter campaign ended, so you've got a certain amount of orders, and so that kind of keeps you guys busy for a certain amount of time to
Yeah.
execute making all those products, getting them delivered. Have you started kind of that next phase of growing post Kickstarter? And what are you doing to try and get customers now?
Yeah, so we have just transitioned into this phase, I would say. We are at a place, or back in the spring, we were at a place where the product was actually good enough. We got delayed by a year due to technical difficulties from the Kickstarter, and then we raised a funding round from private investors. I mean, we already had a target. We already had, target customer base. We had some customers already. We had managed to gather a few sales from our website, still pre-orders through our website, sort of same as Kickstarter orders. And we convinced some investors to give us some more money. And now we are ramping up a lot more in sales. We hired a sales guy to sort of run a lot of this. And now we are, I mean, it's pretty similar, I would say, to what we did under the Kickstarter, with running Facebook ads, Instagram ads, the social media platforms where we know that people are on, and then we try to do as much promotional content as we can. We are lucky, I would say, to be in a space where we are making, sustainable energy that's super trendy at this point in time, right? So everybody is looking to this, and then if you have some invention, and if you go to our website that you just showed, or it is kitex.tech, then you can also see it. It looks like nothing you have seen before. I mean, it doesn't look like a traditional wind turbines with all these strings, and it looks very slender, this whole structure and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it sort of catches the eye in that sense, and that also brings some attention, I would say, from media houses or just people generally involved in new inventions and stuff like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said that it started out as a actual kite. There was a flying version of it.
Yes.
Yes. So that would be like tethered to the ground, but it would be just floating up there with some wings or something and a propeller, or what?
Yeah. So if you, I mean, you can picture a traditional wind turbine in your head, right? So that's a tower, I mean, a stick, and then you have 3 blades on it. And in a traditional wind turbine, 80% of the energy is made by the last 20% of the tip, in rough numbers. So the tip of the wind turbine, that's really providing most of the energy
Like the tip
to the
of the
generator.
blade?
Yeah, the tip of the blade, the very end of the blade, right? That's spinning the
Okay.
fastest around in the wind.
I
And
got
if you can just take away all the other, if you take away the tower, the root of the blade, it's only structural support. If you can remove all of that, then you can make it much cheaper, because it's going to be so much lighter. And this is what we are doing with the tethers. So, and that's the same thing with the flying wind turbine. So you should just imagine you're tying a string or a tether to the blade of the tip of the wind turbine, and then it goes around in a circle. And then we made a drone that was sort of a wing shape that could do that. And it's similar to what we're doing now. Now we just have a tower, and it's a much easier problem. So it doesn't, when something goes wrong, it doesn't fall down and you have to repair it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think this is technology that could scale up eventually to make the massive wind turbines? Like, I'm in Texas, and so there's these just huge wind turbines, in the farmland. Is there something about what you guys have done that could reduce the size and get similar output eventually?
Yeah. So, I mean, our technology definitely scales. It's just a matter of to what size it scales. You start to lose some of the advantages as you just scale. But we can at least go to 1 megawatt, I would say, and that's not a problem. And that's a huge turbine, even though they are much greater. The largest one now, they are gigantic machines, right?
Right.
And we are it's actually has been the vision for us the whole time to make a environmentally friendly and cheap alternative of powering your house or your farm or small production plant. And we are already developing the next size turbine at the moment. and that's more targeted towards household sizes. So now everybody we all need electric cars, we all need heat pumps to be more sustainable here in the future, and that's going to drive up electricity consumption by a lot. And if you can have your own turbine to do this, then you can be self-sufficient at it. You don't rely on the grid, and that's really an advantage. And the thing where we come in the picture, that's because we can do it much cleaner, much cheaper, because we're only using 10% of the materials compared to a normal household traditional wind turbine with our technology, because we're using these super high strength lines. The lines, they are I don't know if you know them. Have you tried kite surfing, Paris?
Not kite surfing, I haven't. Looks fun.
That's where sort of the inspiration comes from. So I'm a kite surfer. Andreas, my partner, is a kite surfer. So and these lines, it's the same kind of fiber that you use here. These super thin lines that can carry a lot of weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I may have missed where you said this before, but so after the Kickstarter, are there specific platforms that you're focusing on, like social media wise, or different websites where your target customers are that you're engaging? How do you connect with your target customers now that campaign's over?
So at the moment, we're actually still gathering, I would say, a lot of intelligence on our customers. We are not completely certain what our ideal customer looks like. So I would say we are sort of shooting in all directions with different kinds of ads. We have some general ideas on who our initial target customers are, and that's going to be, I would say, males in 40s to maybe 60 years old, and interested in outdoor living, I would say, camping. Yeah. So those are the ones that we are targeting at the moment, and that can still be done through Facebook, through Instagram. These are the platforms they're on. I think this target group is a little bit too old for TikTok, something like that. You could, of course, find somebody on it, but that's always worth considering. I mean, the age thing and how technology aware your target customers are. But of course, I mean, it's early days for us. So at the moment, the strategy is to gather knowledge, right? That's what we need. Maybe we have missed something.
Are you testing out different types of content? Like, are you posting videos? Are you doing any influencer videos or like founder videos? What kind of content are you putting out there?
So we have on our YouTube channel, it's more techy, I would say, where I have a lot of video of me going over how to set up the turbine and how to do small tricks here and there and help with that. So that's gathering some attention. It's not a lot, and we're not really that focused on it. And then we have sent a few turbines out to influencers, as you mentioned, to sort of test that out. I think only 3 have went out so far. Just, I think it's 2 weeks ago only. So very, very early, and this is of late here in October when we are recording this, right? So I would say we are sort of trying to do everything, but in small steps. Yeah. That's been the strategy for us at the moment.
And do you put out other types of content other than video? Are you like blogging or putting things on LinkedIn, or like, can you talk to a little bit about other types of content you might be doing?
Yeah, I think, LinkedIn is actually our most used social media, or has been up until now, I would say, where we do sort of these technical things. And I think we have a few thousand followers there. Maybe it's 2,000 or 2,500 or something like that. Can't really tell here on the top of my mind. And that's sort of the more technical stuff, and talking to the people within the wind industry, and seeing that you're doing something, and we're also getting some shares here and there, just because we can show some interesting approaches and interesting alternative takes on an industry that is quite old. And I mean, normal wind turbine is a stick and 3 things that spins. So doing something new attracts attention.
Yeah. So is it pretty easy to set up?
That's the ambition for us, I would say, and it really depends on who you are and who you ask. If you have 10 thumbs, and then it's probably not that easy. I often tell people that it's similar to pitching like a large family tent, something like this. It's gonna take the first time you do it, it's probably going to take you an hour or something. And then the next time you can probably do it in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I can do it in 20 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not too bad for a, I guess, kind of constant source of energy, right?
No.
Depending on the wind. All right. What about, so I'm looking at this and I've got kids. What's the materials of the blades? Like, is there like safety issues, or is it high enough to where the actual blades are going to be above the heads of your children?
Yeah. That's a really that's a really good question. Actually, we have done it with the foam blades, so that's quite interesting. So the height of the blades is 2 meters and 20, and what is that in feet? 8 feet or something like this.
Okay.
So it's above your head height normally, right?
Right.
And then they're made from this foam material. So I don't know if you have ever played with this role-playing swords or something like that. And I have actually, we have a video on LinkedIn where I'm sticking my hand in the rotor as it spins. You can go and see that on LinkedIn, and it gives a good whack, of course. But it's not dangerous in that sense. But of course, if you were to catch just a single child finger in there, but they have to jump really really high, then of course it might break a finger. It's a machine in that sense, right? But
right.
I think there are more other dangers than that. So the foam makes it really nice. It's not sharp or anything like that. It's like getting a good whack with a.
It's not going to be a cause of death if somebody jumped into it necessarily. Okay.
No.
It's good.
Yeah, we have even actually hit a bird once. That's always a talk in with rotor with wind turbines, right? So they kill the birds, but we have this video of I think it's a crow or something that gets in the rotor, and then it gets smacked to the ground, and then it flies up and it's fine again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty funny one.
All right, so that's a win for the animal rights folks. Your bird safe wind turbine, right?
Yeah, it might be a little bit of a stretch to call it bird safe, but depends on how you look at it.
Bird friendly.
But yeah, it's friendly. You could say that.
Yeah, that'd be there's a little ad campaign for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is really cool. Really cool
Thanks.
product. Okay, and so you're kind of in that exploration phase on the marketing side of things. You've got sales, you're delivering product. Can you speak a little bit to what you said? There was some kind of technical difficulty when you went after the Kickstarter. I guess you had a prototype that worked, but I'm guessing something in the manufacturing was more complicated, or what happened there?
Yeah, I would say it's a lot of different things. It's also now getting into some technicalities in it. So actually, we had to sort of say there's two ways of controlling a wind turbine. We call it stall regulated, or we call it pitch regulated. And one has fixed wings. That's the stall regulation, and one has where it can move the wings. It can sort of turn the wings individually, right? As we call that pitch regulated. And we transitioned from pitch regulated to stall regulated for the Kickstarter version. And then we saw it's not good enough. We cannot actually maintain safety of the structure in really high winds. So we had to go back to the other thing. And that changed a lot of the architecture on the whole thing. And then we also had a lot of, we really wanted to hit this goal of it being easy to set up. That's super important if you are bringing it along on an adventure that doesn't take 2 hours. And some of the structure, the gear system, we had to redo because there was big, large gear that you couldn't really fit nicely inside a van or something like that. It would take too much space, so we had to compact everything a lot. So this whole transitioning in technical, because all say the architecture had to change to make it better. And that just took some more time. I think that's the beauty of Kickstarter. I really think, because you are attracting these early adopters to your product, and they are, as long as you give them regular updates. We try to do a monthly or maybe bi-monthly update to them, and just keep them in the loop. What are the goals? What have we been doing? What are the challenges still ahead? and then they're actually quite happy still. I mean, we are more than, I think we are 1 year or 1.5 year delayed until now, but people are hardly complaining to us. Just, and I think that's because we are keeping them in the know, and sharing information with them to sort of say, "I'll be on this road here together." And I think that's really key to having a Kickstarter campaign that's actually going to be a successful run, also for you as the I mean, that's for me as the inventor or the founder of the company. It's not fun running something and people are mad at you.
Right.
That's important.
So with Kickstarter, it gives you this burst of customers up front, and you have this opportunity to build this relationship, a deeper relationship with customers. Because like you're saying, the early adopters, they know there might be some ups and downs, and there might be delays or whatever, because you're still figuring out all the manufacturing stuff. And so you have that direct line of communication through the Kickstarter, I guess, updates and things like that. So that's a really good foundation for like your email list and all that. How many people did you get as that kind of initial set of Kickstarter customers?
I mean, before we actually gathered, I think it was 4,000 emails before we even launched on Kickstarter, and that was through these competitions. And then I think one really good thing we did on the Kickstarter to convert all of these into actual sales, that was to also sign up people for this VIP treatment, so they would be notified when we were launching. Because I mean, these were also already people who they have seen some pictures of the product, they were interested, they had signed up. We did an email campaign with them, and then we made this VIP special deal to some of them where they could actually swipe their credit card to Stripe or something, and they would pay $1. And looking back, $1 was a little bit, that was not enough. Maybe we should have used $10 or $50 or something like this to secure their spot in the queue to get an early bird or a small other advantage into the thing. And I think that converted a lot. That was a really, really good thing we did.
Okay. So you built relationships through Kickstarter, you did competitions. It's really cool to see this process that you guys chose. And I mean, it makes a lot of sense for the type of product you have here. You mentioned that you're going to come out with a new product, maybe a bigger product, and you've already got, customer base. You can kind of upsell some of those past customers.
Yeah.
With something like this, is there like a reason the blades are whatever size they are? I know that everything in engineering affects how the performance and all that, and you had to figure out probably the right size blade to make it storable, but also safe, but also produce enough. Like, could you just add like another set of blades on top of it to where you have a tower of multiple blades? Can you talk a little bit about kind of how you came to that specific design and some of the limitations there?
I think that's a really good, that's really I would say funny thing. So the whole, how we choose the length of the tower sections and also the blade, this is 2 meter sections at the moment. This is 6 feet, and that's because it's the largest that you can ship with a normal postage carrier. So that was actually the background behind it, and that's also for the next size of turbine. We want to fit that into a 20-foot container, so we can ship turbines in containers, right? So the logistics behind the product is super important. If you make the blades longer, you're gonna gather more energy, so that would make good sense. But if you cannot economically get it to your customers, then it's not a good product, right?
Right.
So that's a constraint we had there, I would say.
So that's specifically direct to customer sales problem that manufacturers have. But if you're doing B2B, where you can just ship in huge parts, like if you were doing some big commercial industrial installation or something like that, those kind of size limitations aren't there as much. But that's interesting with direct to consumer. You're going to be shipping ideally all over the world. So it has to meet those, what is it called? Intermodal transport, like the shipping container. And then you have, like you're saying, the
Yeah,
local
and then
carrier
yeah.
limitations.
Yeah, some local
Hmm.
carrier limitations for DHL or FedEx or whatever, right?
Right.
They only want to bring up a certain size, otherwise you pay a lot to have it oversized, basically. So
Okay.
you try to keep
Interesting.
it within those limits. And
Okay.
then,
So
I
it's
mean,
just,
if you can,
go ahead.
and also for the next size of turbine, I mean, if you can fit that into a 20-foot container, then it's just this standardized package that anybody can take. I mean, just put it on a truck, and then they know
Mhm.
exactly how to handle it, and you can just the logistics is super important to consider. And say in selling any product, if you want to be global about it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, so any one piece of it just can't be bigger than that size container, because the end product may be 10 times bigger than all the pieces in the box. But
Yeah.
interesting. It's kind of,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
reminds
Yeah.
me of
And
ordering
and
furniture or something.
yeah, it's
Hmm.
exactly like that, right? I mean, we also saw that. I mean, if you go to if you go want to buy another small wind turbine, I mean, you can get them cheaper than ours. But then you're also going to need to find your own tower, and then you have to go down to your local blacksmith and maybe buy a huge stainless steel pipe. And suddenly it's going to cost you a lot, and you have to manage this yourself and pour concrete and all of this, right? We ship everything in just a kit, and then you have it. I mean, convenience is key. I think
Yeah.
some of the best products. I mean, you're gonna have success in your business if you can make a product that brings people convenience, basically, right? So convenience is key. If you could do something that makes people's lives just a little bit easier, then that's a good product. Or if you can make something a little bit cheaper, but not increase the inconvenience level on doing it, then you're gonna have success.
So with
Yeah.
these wind turbines, like usually you see them, there's like one set of blades facing a certain direction. Can you have it
Hmm.
to where you have like another set on the backside to like get more output, or is there some kind of like way that
Um,
it would cut down on power generation?
so Yeah, I mean, it could increase the efficiency by a little bit of having this dual rotor, and then you would actually need them to spin in opposite direction with a gear train in the middle. I think the Chinese actually just did such a project
Oh,
with
okay.
a large turbine, but it burned down a year later or something. Oh, that's another story for
Right,
another time,
right.
I guess. But but the thing in wind energy is proportional to the area that is facing the wind. Does that make sense? So we call it the
Oh,
swept area of the
huh.
blades, and it's just physical laws basically. So a larger area, that means you can capture more energy, and of course, I mean for the same wind speed, of course.
Okay.
And then the thing is that the amount of energy available in the wind that that goes with the velocity of the wind cubed. So
Hmm.
that's really really important, right? If you have strong winds, you're gonna have an excess of wind power, and that's also what makes it tricky. We call it rated power. We have a low wind speed for our rated power, and that means our max effect. I'm being real technical here, right? So you can sort of see it like this. I often talk about this car analogy. You have a car that can go super fast. Okay,
Hmm.
that's super cool and nice, but then it burns through the gallons like that. And what car do you drive? You often drive the most economical car. And this is a little bit similar to wind. It's not. I mean, the wind speed is not high most of the year. I mean, most of the year you're going to have average wind speeds, right? So
Right.
you really want a wind turbine that is aiming at average wind speeds, and that's also what we are sort of solving. So we make a huge rotor area, and then we don't have as much peak power, or you can say for the car analogy, you don't have as much top speed. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, if you have a car that can go 200 miles an hour, how often can you do that, right? It's only on
Right.
the racetrack, so it's not that important actually.
Okay. And
Of
so
course, it's
if
cool,
you,
but
so the higher the wind speed, the more power you're going to get. Um, is there a way to plug like directly into your device, like into the wind turbine, or does it have to be plugged into something like Jackery or those other generator battery power packs?
Yeah, so for our small wind turbine here, the wind catcher, we plug it directly to batteries at the moment, and that's simply because we have made this that comes with the turbine. That comes this controller that can charge batteries, either lead acid or lithium batteries, or plug into a Jackery unit or whatever. I mean, as I mentioned before, we are the only ones who can do this. We have
Yeah.
our box, as I think that's even cooler than the wind turbine itself. We have this small DC-DC box that emulates a solar cell, because these
Whoa.
Jackeries, they can only input from solar, actually, from some of their ports.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Whoa, you're getting some special effects behind you all of a sudden.
yeah. What's going on here with
I don't
my
know.
video?
For those
I
not
got some.
watching on the video, we suddenly had fireworks behind
Yeah,
Christopher as soon as he said solar.
yeah, yeah. Apparently, that's a keyword in this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so this box where we can emulate a solar panel. So the Jackery actually think that it's seeing a solar panel, and then we can charge that. Because if you just plug something into that to the port on it, it's not going to work. You have to charge it with AC, or you have to charge it with fixed 12 volts, and then a certain amps it's going to draw. So it's actually a kind of a tricky problem. And for it to be even possible, I mean, I will get into the technicals again here, Paris.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we are sampling 500,000 times per second on this box. That's how fast electronics has to work for it to be even possible. I think that's pretty cool.
So you guys designed your own little converter box as well to go
Yeah.
with one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you going to move into
So
battery packs or anything later? You think you going to go that direction?
yeah.
Or? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we have definitely. I mean, I don't think we will make them ourselves, but probably we will make some design decisions on it, and basically have an OEM manufacture them for us with our specs on them, and then sell those with our turbines. And we're also considering us just selling portable solar panels with them, so people can get a whole kit from us, right? A whole bundle.
Okay. So
What
you're
they
going to
need.
approach just energy generation and storage in general instead of just staying with the windmill technology itself.
Yeah, I mean, the key for us is, of course, the wind technology. But if we can have a product or a product package that is just compatible with, I mean, all the devices are compatible just out of the box. And again, this comes to the convenience for the customer, right? If we can provide that for them, I think that's going to be nice. And of course, it's also a good business for us. I mean, it's an opportunity to upsell a bit as well. So should just take my word for it for the customer side. But yeah, that's the reality of having a business.
And are you getting feedback from customers already and making adjustments or future plans based on that feedback?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, we have had a lot of collaboration with our initial backers, and we did a beta test program with some of them, took their feedback in. Actually, we have improved a ton of things on the turbine. Some of the initial units we shipped out, they weren't packaged good enough, and I mean, shipping is. I mean, now we get back to logistics again, but I mean, we shipped a lot of turbines. They got to their destination and were broken, basically, because
man.
I mean, yeah, and then, but I mean, in a startup, that's the thing. Being a small company, you are super agile and you can quickly do changes and just fix things on the fly, and that's what we are doing at the moment. And I mean, it's still super low volume for us, and we're just scaling up production, and being fast now is the key for us.
So
listening to the customers.
Right. And so did you just replace the ones that broke for free?
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. We need this good. I mean, it doesn't really cost us any. I mean, of course it costs us something, but having the first customers having bad experiences with us and giving us bad reviews, that's going to cost us down the line a lot more than it would be simply to replacing their parts and having the dialogue with them and helping them out any way we can. We are really at this point in time, that's the key for us.
Yeah, that's really cool. Prioritizing the customer experience, going above and beyond to make sure you get those good relationships. Are you just communicating with them mostly through Kickstarter platform still, or have you moved off their platform to something else?
Yeah, we are mainly using emails at the moment.
You know,
But I mean, I've also been talking to people on WhatsApp.
Okay.
I mean, private customers, just if they're
Yeah.
having some difficulties, giving them a call, actually, hitting them up there and saying, how can we help you? Basically, I mean, if you're allowed for them, we ask them first if we can call them, of course, and they're often up to it. I mean, the first customer who had to set up a turbine, he was out in a field setting it up, and I was on a Zoom call with the guy and assisting any way
Okay.
I could. And I mean, I learned a ton from it
Yeah.
on how to improve the experience, right? I mean, we had
Yeah.
some in Denmark setting it up, some initial customers there, but doing it at another place where you're not standing there,
Right.
it's also a thing.
Yeah. So, like in the software world, you have user testing and you can record someone using your website or something like that. And so,
Yeah.
having a video call of someone physically using your product, I guess, is the equivalent
Yes.
for a
Yeah.
product-based business.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
cool.
the first thing we did was, of course, standing there on the sides and trying to see how people are doing it. But then, I
Mhm.
mean, at some point, you have to not stand there and not being able to see everything that's going on and maybe rely on their
Yeah.
wording and all of this, right? So, yes.
Right. Okay. So, question that I ask everybody, or I try to at least, is: are there any books that you would recommend, or any kind of content you'd recommend, but specifically books mostly,
Oh, yeah.
that someone in your position, maybe they're a few years off, or they've got an idea, they want to start a business or launch a product-based business. Maybe they're a fellow engineer who's got an idea for something they want to start a
Hmm.
business around. Can you speak to that
Yeah.
listener?
Yes, I just recently read 0 to 1.
Okay.
Do you know
Yeah.
that one? That's by
Peter
Peter
Thiel.
Thiel.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was, I mean that I learned a lot of that from that book, I would say, on how to approach this. I mean, how to actually build a good product that people want. And it's not about maybe building a super cool product that you think are cool, but actually making something that actually benefits people and meets their needs, basically, right? And you don't really know what the needs are. You might have an idea for a product, and you can discover that they are using it for something completely different. For us, for the small wind turbine, we have built it around camping and stuff like this, and it's not very. I mean, we have some parts that would need upgrading before they would be doable enough to just put it on your house, on the roof of the house. And people are asking, can we put your turbine on the roof of the house? So maybe this is something that we haven't actually seen from the beginning and the get-go. And I think
Mhm.
Peter Thiel has a lot of good analogies in his book, 0 to 1. Yeah.
All right. I'll add that to the show notes. Um, this has been really interesting, Christopher. I appreciate you spending time with us today. Why don't you give everybody real quick where they can find you guys, how they can um, buy your product and connect with you?
Yeah, sure. So you can go to our website. That's KiteX, just in no spaces or anything, .tech, TECH, like technology, right? Or you can hook up with me on LinkedIn. Maybe you can put it in the show notes. I have this crazy last name, and you're also welcome to follow KiteX on LinkedIn. That's where we are the most active and where you can engage with us. I would say the easiest.
All right.
So thanks for having me, Paris.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. And we'll see everybody on the next episode of the First Customers podcast. Later.
Okay.